So I'm coming at you today with a fun little story. First, I'll tell you why I'm talking in my Cajun accent. And actually, let me back up. First, I want to say that by no means is this to poke fun at the Cajuns. I love the Cajuns. I love the thick accent. I love New Orleans. I love Louisiana. This is more along the lines of poking fun at me. Back in the day, in my 20s, I was an aspiring actor. I wanted to be an actor. I was going to acting school, and I would go to cattle calls and auditions. And there was this part one time that I was trying for, and I needed to quickly pick up a Cajun accent. So this is more along the lines of poking fun at me. I obviously did not get that job. And my attempt to develop a Cajun accent somewhat failed. But it turned into more of a, every now and then I'll break it out. So I reached out to my clients this morning and I said, you know, I'm gonna shoot my, the mental conditioning video for Yancey Camp OCR Workout 752. And does anybody have any particular things they'd like me to talk about today? Well, Lindsay Smith said, let's lighten the mood a little bit and talk about maybe your favorite or most memorable race day experience. I said, okay. And then Miguel Medina chimed in and said, Coach, why don't you shoot the video in your Cajun accent? My train wreck accent. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're talking about one of my most memorable race day experiences. Several years ago, my good friend Steve Grant and I, he calls me, he's like, Yancey, let's go do the Captain Carl's Tejas Trail, Colorado Bend 30K. I've never been one for preparing for anything. He called me the day before. It's a 30K, very technical course. I said, sure, Steve, let's go. So he picks me up the next day. We get out there. It's a nighttime race, 30K. About 18.6 miles if you're doing the math. Colorado, like I said, Colorado Bend is really technical. I think there was a 5K, 10K, and a 30K that night. So I've always kept myself in pretty good shape, so I'm always ready to go. Just like our Mark Jones program, always ready. You guys check that out. So we take off. It's an eclectic group of trail runners. You guys, if you know the trail running community, eclectic is a rather conservative word to describe the trail runners out there. I love the community. A lot of them merged over into OCR, and you had eclectic magic happen when the OCR crazies and the trail running crazies merged. So, but anyway, we get out there and about 2 or 3K in, it gets dark. And I knew at some point in time the 5K and 10Kers would be starting after us, but I think the majority were running the 30K that night. And I was feeling pretty good. The body was, when you're racing and you know within the first 20, 30 minutes how things are gonna go. It's like, I'm feeling pretty snappy. I'm 48 now, it's probably 45, 44 at the time. So body's feeling good, and I settled into third place. We developed a pretty good gap, and before you knew it, I found myself in second place. And it got dark. It's a real technical trail. I know I've said that a couple times, but it's baby heads. They would call them baby heads in Texas. I took a couple pretty bad spills, and I was bleeding in 2 or 3 areas. And if any of you Texas trail runners, you know it's not a good trail workout or a trail run unless you're bleeding at least a couple spots. A lot of gnarly rock out here in the Texas trails, but very diverse. So, but I had held my second place spot. And I think I was about 23 to 25K in. It was real dark at this point. I was by myself. I knew the gentleman ahead of me was he had about 200 meters on me. So in a 30K race, that's That's not much distance. Well, I was bebopping down through this single track area. The old toad caught a rock. You guys know what I'm talking about. It happens sometimes. The toad caught a rock. And I went ass over tea kettle. And I'm telling you right now, it was a bad fall. Shit went everywhere. The headlight flipped off. I was rolling and tumbling. Water bottle flew. It was an ugly sight. Well, I finally come to a stop, and I didn't want to move, and I knew there was a lot of tingling. There was tingling going on everywhere, and I was like, well, I bet you I'm bleeding in a few more areas right now. I looked off to the left, and I could see my headlight was still on. I'm not shitting you. It was it's 20 meters away from me. I saw my water bottle was gone. And I was up under these cedar trees and all this brambles and barbed wire scratches. I said barbed wire. Wasn't barbed wire, it was briars. I had briar scratches everywhere. You guys know briars if you're from Texas. Well, I crawled up under these cedar branches and got my headlight and threw it on and shined my light around, and was relatively close to the edge of a cliff. I would have gone down about 10-15 meter drop if I'd have rolled much farther. I found my water bottle. I was in a world of hurt. Stuff was messed up everywhere, but I got up and there was no major injury, just 3 or 4 more new bloody spots, and so I get back up on the trail and I continue on, and I'm thinking I probably got about a 5K left. Maybe I can still catch this gentleman. And the way the race was set up with the 5Ks and the 10Ks, they were doing a smaller loop, so we knew that we were going to have some cross traffic that night. So I get back on the trail and I start heading back, trying to get up a decent little pace, and it took me a couple hundred meters, and the body was working pretty good. So I started hustling, and about 1K later, the disaster struck. And my chance of catching that guy ahead of me were blown out of the water. I was a little delirious. Well, before that spill, about a K or two before, I had gone through an aid station. Well, after my spill and I got back on that trail and I started going, about a K or two later, I ended up at that exact same aid station. And I had got back on the trail and started going backwards in my delirium self, hot mess state. And then I quickly realized that this boy's race was over. There was going to be no podium. I was bleeding in about 12 areas. And I came running up to, and the guy that handed me a piece of watermelon, he recognized me. He's like, "What the hell are you doing back here, son?" I took some more watermelon and I turned around and I headed back in the right direction. I think I ended up 8th or 9th that place. As I was passing those people, I did not recognize that they, that was 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th place, going the right direction, as I was going the wrong direction. So I finished that race, and you look up, I think you look up like the 2016, maybe 15, Tejas Trails, Captain Carl's Colorado Bend 30K. You'll see Yancey Culp way down in the standings. And I still have a few scars from that night, but that's one of my most memorable race experiences, Lindsay. Thank you for reaching out. So anyway, this message, because I got to talk a little slower, and when I'm in my Cajun accent, I had to slow it down, and this one almost took 10 minutes. So thanks for reaching out, Lindsay, to requesting the Cajun accent. And actually, Miguel, you were the one that requested. Y'all be good.